The biggest obstacles for the organizational transformation are psychological, as it is natural for people to prefer the status quo. Senior managers resist against change to protect their position, which encourage more in resistance to change. The causes for the resistance to change are depending on the position and level. It is obvious from the fact that the managers sometimes resist to change out of their concern for their jobs. In general, they tended to believe that sustaining the status quo would bring both tangible and intangible benefits. The urge that senior managers and managers at all levels have are conceptualized as value-improving desires that will motivate them to act in protecting the interests of the organization.
Hi, I'm Karen Gould from K3 Consulting, and today I'm going to be talking about barriers to successful organisational change. When we speak with organisations and ask them about their change, we ask them to describe their vision, and they're largely or broadly able to articulate it. But we also ask them to describe what will the difference be? What will it look like when the change has been enabled? What will people be doing and how will they be behaving? And this is often less certain. For organisational change to be successful, people need to be able to imagine and embody that change and translate it into day-to-day activity. There's an old adage that says, what gets measured gets done. And it's similar with organisational change success. What people are able to make tangible, they're able to achieve. Firstly, it means looking at their goals and the goals of their team to make sure they don't either unintentionally or overtly undermine the change. But then they have to look at their behaviours. They have to start acting now like the change will require. They can't wait for the change, but they have to preempt it. And this creates a safe environment for others to follow and enables those early adapters to get involved. Change is also about overall alignment. So we see organisations focus on just one aspect of a change. So for example, structure and roles and how they interrelate. But actually, there's a number of contexts and interdependencies that happen when change is in place. If you pull one lever, you adjust another. So we have to look at everything in its context. That structure, governance, process, customer experience, leadership, culture, etc. We need to look at each aspect as one total vision. In terms of communication, we often hear no communication is too much. But in fact, if we're communicating the wrong things at the wrong times to the wrong people, then we're putting a lot of effort into something that has very little value. In order for organisations to successfully communicate during change, they need to map out what are the messages we want to give, who do we want to give them, and what method do we want to use to actually give them in. So the research tells us that people want to hear the messages about the rationale for change from those most senior people in the organisation. They want those people to be able to articulate, why are we doing this? But they want to hear about the personal impact of change from those closest to them, their direct leader or someone who has direct skin in the game. So we can't just have one strategy that fits all. We've got to carefully plan who, what, when and where. It's important that leaders are capable and confident in any change. And so what I recommend that they do is they make sure they speak to people who have been there and done that. Use their networks and don't be afraid to ask questions about other people's experiences. The most effective thing a leader can do is soundboard. What does this sound like? How does this look and feel? And ask for advice. There's a whole range of networks available to seek that kind of advice. A change that isn't successful can have a huge impact on employees, on customers, and on the success of the organisation overall. You only get one chance to get it right. If you need advice, come and ask the team at K3 Consulting.
Regarding to the article, it has contributed a significant impact in terms of leadership. The contribution of senior managers are important to pursue with the organizational success because their main obligation is to boost the way of understanding as well as stimulating the understanding behavior and attitude in their organizations. However, the organizational change is one of the most tough problems as it influences both the organization and its environment, which can lead to a major barrier. This situation is being affected on how the employer try to integrate attitude in order to reach the level of understanding among the employees. If the senior leadership has identified their desire for effective organizational conduct, it will be easy for them to reach the success. The contribution of this article in the leadership can be seen through the major responsibility of senior leadership, which is facilitating moral conduct by applying behavioral changes. Also, it is clearly helped to encourage the growth performance and accomplished through teamwork and consistent management challenge. However, if the senior management is not capable to foster a positive environment for the organizational behavior, it will emerge internal conflicts at all levels of organization. According to the article, the barrier of change that being caused by the senior manager is when they're trying to protect their terrains that can be resist the change because of it was conducted by a competitor power structure and subsequently find it difficult because the senior managers do not have a responsibility for them when the change is being implemented. So by the contribution of leadership dimension, the senior management should create an equitable treatment. For example, the organizational commitments concept must be correlated with employee attitudes and actions in the organization, and good organizational behaviors will lead to the employees being more loyal and trust to their senior managers in terms of organizational management.
The next contribution of this article in the leadership is the leader must create and maintain a favorable working environment. This action should be done by implementing a clear vision as it can enhance the job performance. This situation will lead to the acceptance of changes which might happen anytime, especially in the future. By the same time, the leader can focus on the possibilities in the future. Also, as a leader, it is crucial to have a clear vision because it provides inspiration to the employees to keep going and motivate them to work harder, as people more likely to be more productive when they have goals to attain. Other than that, the working environment also needs to be concerned by a leader as it can influence the performance of employees. By having a good working environment, it will improve productivity and also goods for the company's overall mental health, which will increase the job performance. Furthermore, the changes by the senior management are important as it allows people to replace the old and worn out things with the fresh ones, which is more advantageous, and it is also refreshes people's attitudes towards life. Clearly, with the fresh and new people come with the new ideas and the way of thinking. This will add on more contribution to the effectiveness of the organization. Plus, the senior managers also should apply to transformational leadership in order to overcome the barrier in changes. Generally, the organizational culture and transformational leadership has been theoretically linked to the organizational effectiveness. As far as transformational leadership is concerned, the transformational qualities could lead to a performance which beyond the expectation in organizational settings. Obviously, it has shown that there is a strong interconnection between the organizational culture and the transformational leadership that should be implemented by the senior manager.
According to Kirk Levin's three-level change model to the article that we chose, which is the role of senior manager has change barriers, the suggestion for modification to the article may be made. It is because, according to Levin, change is a thought and challenging path that entails numerous stages of transition or misunderstanding before achieving a degree of equilibrium or stability for any person or organization. The unfreezing is the initial step of transition and one of the most important pairs in the change management process, which has the result from unfreezing. This stage, the public must be willing to adapt through developing awareness in order to move from the current comfort zone to the changing reality. As senior manager, for example, must be daring and let go of their ego in order to undertake organizational change that do not support the status quo. It can raise senior managers' awareness of the need for change and motivate them to adopt new methods of working in order to achieve better outcomes. So, by communication is the most effective way to get the necessary support and participation in the process of change. In the transition step, top managers' perception of change must be changed since they do not recognize the importance of opposing power grouping and poor strategy lead to the change project falling. So as a result, by careful planning, good communication and promoting the participation of those who play in a significant role in supporting change are required. This is because it is considered that the transition stage is more difficult than it appears due to uncertainty or fear of the change repercussion. So senior manager, on the other hand, can indirectly cause excellent change if they have a sound strategy, an effective change implementation plan, and the ability to make change in the company. As a result, the modification performed will be successful if there are suitable initial example change. With this, each change initiative should be started with educating staff on the impact of competitive power. So change can be done well by taking into account consumer demand and selection pattern, regulatory compliance, and a number of other factors. Other than that, refreezing is the final stage in Kroll-Levin's change management model. If top managers apply themselves at this level, a more stable condition will develop in a company while the transition happens. The transition initiative to reinforce new knowledge and skill, which is stress management approach to aid employees in coping with stress to assure compliance, and forceful tactic if all other measure fall and the need for change is urgent, all used in this process. This is because there is a degree of management in the company that has a predisposition to resist change. For example, like frontliner manager frequently reject change because they are fearful of their job after the change, and they are also uninterested in change if does not affect their day-to-day work. As a result, the refreezing step is ultimate step in which individuals embrace a new way of working or change that all level of management must accept as a part of their life and form new partnership. This is because new habit or change in the way we operate in the organization must be reinforced. And last but not least, the policy or support structure can help to strengthen the new method of the functioning in this way.
Also, if first-line managers are resistant to change on a regular basis, we can employ strategies to combat this opposition, such as increasing the amount of public education and communication by informing people about the positive aspect of an impending change and making them more aware of those aspects through effective communication. This is one of the most widely used strategies for lowering resistance to change. Nevertheless, there are essential steps that need to be taken when implementing a change that affects the entirety of an organization. These steps include soliciting staff suggestion and comment, involving them in the process, and encouraging their participation in order to achieve productive results. It is also demonstrated that middle-level manager in organization with a bureaucratic or mission-like structure enjoy significant concrete and intangible incentive from sustaining the status quo. This reward come in the form of increased job security and lower turnover rates. This method is effective in situations in which there is insufficient information available to employees or when employees' expertise on various aspects of the change is faulty or incomplete. As soon as workers are convinced that there is a need for change, they will become a change partner and aid in the successful execution of the change. Finally, In frontline managers, which frequently reject change, we can employ the strategy that can help overcome resistance to change by providing support and facilitation. Employees pose resistance or opposition to any kind of transformation in the existing ways of working or procedure for a variety of reasons. So the culmination of which is that they fear or they are feared to change. So the employees want to receive complete emotional support and facilitation in order to be able to cope with the challenges that are the result of the change. Additionally, they should be allowed to express their fear, resentment, or anger in connection with the change and the challenges that are associated with the change. The problem where employees fight to change because they worry for their position once it has been implemented will be alleviated thanks to this solution. As a result of the fact that these managers are susceptible to the shifts brought about by technology advancement, in which their jobs may become rendered irrelevant as a result of automation. Frontline managers have a tendency to be resistant to change. If the change does not affect the day-to-day operation or the operational concern, then the frontline manager may not be interested in it either. This strategy can be helpful in situations in which individuals have difficulty adjusting to the new circumstances or adapting to the new ways of doing things, which often leads to resistance to change. Because it incorporates employee facilitation, training, and numerous supportive initiatives, this approach is the most effective method for lowering the level of resistance. Nevertheless, this method requires a significant investment of both time and money, and it does not necessarily guarantee a successful conclusion.
To conclude everything, any type of change will almost certainly be met with criticism on both of the employee and organizational level. However, an ideal solution can be assured by dissolving all possible barriers to change through proper communication at all levels and discuss it properly. The most vital thing is to determine the main source of resistance and establish strategies to address the problems. There are a lot of strategies that can be applied in reducing the barriers to change, such as modifications to the tax that can be applied, the perception to change of the top managers must be changed, rephrasing, and many other effective strategies. In addition, it can be seen that this article as well relates with the leadership, as the leader must implement clear vision by creating and maintaining the favorable working environment, as it may enhance the job performance. As a result, strategic plan, coordination, and full participation of all stakeholders are crucial in enacting strategic decisions and assessing the success of change.